Hi Capricorn, welcome to your September 2017 love reading. It's Raina here. I've said in other videos that I'm looking through this milky white screen, the LED screen that the camera is attached to, where I can see what I'm filming. And so I'm getting a new camera. It's on its way, but I'm working with this situation. Hopefully everything will be in frame. But the other thing I wanted to say, that wasn't really the main thing, is that I have a new series of videos that I'm going to be offering on Vimeo, and I'll provide the link below. And they are going to be, it's going to be called, at least this month, this series is called Ready for Love. And so I'm assuming that it would be more for people that are single, but of course there are some people who are in relationships that are ready for love, because what they have is not love. So I guess that could be true for anybody. And I devised a spread where I combine the predictive elements that you normally see in tarot readings with kind of like instructional. I don't know if you'd say inspirational. I'm sure everything has some inspiration sprinkled in there, along with some oracle cards too, in addition to the typical tarot cards. So if you're interested, the link will be below, as well as a link to my website for private readings if you're interested. And as I've been saying that, I've been shuffling the cards. So this will be interesting, because now I'm kind of like doing this thing where I do the different piles, and I totally don't know if this is in frame. But, I'll be able to see afterwards. I'll definitely test it. Okay. Okay, let me pick another one, because I don't end my readings on Ten of Swords cards. And I also don't end them on Five of Swords. But I'll explain in a minute why not. Okay. The Ten of Swords is the kind of card that, to me, it's not just a question of negativity, but to me it kind of leaves things hanging, and so does the Five of Swords, and it needs clarification. So that's why I picked another card. It's not that I'm just trying to make everything rosy, because everything is rosy. Even if something bad happens, it can still ultimately be for your highest good. So it's not. And that isn't indicating anything bad is going to happen at all. We'll just get into that later, because those are the last cards. The centerpiece of this reading, Capricorn, is the Four of Cups. Now, this is an example of a card that always kind of irritated me, because if you look at the picture, what is the expression on that person's face? And this is very similar to the Rider-Waite deck. This is the Morgan Greer deck with the beautiful illustrations and background. But they both have a similar blasé, indifferent expression. And to me, and that is definitely one of the possible interpretations, is that you are feeling indifferent towards someone in your love life. Now, the reason that irritated me is because it's just like the Ten of Swords and the Five of Swords. To me, it's like, is it just like a purely negative card? And I was looking through, I have, different tarot books, and I was looking through one of them, and they actually said that the Four of Cups can indicate stability in emotions, in terms of, like, for instance, the person that you're dealing with is much more of a stable relationship. Whereas you may have had this like exciting thing but it was like turning you upside down. Now that makes sense, but then why is there a negative expression on that person's face? When somebody has a flat expression, that's not good. So I don't know if it was just that they had to choose something and they figured that overall this is the definition or explanation of the card that is most is the closest to what it represents. So I'm putting out that alternative interpretation, but I will say that you could see that in this card, let me bring this out again, is that there's like a cup coming from the clouds, and the clouds is obviously like the universe, offering this person love, and the person is indifferent. So it can be sometimes, I suppose, unrequited love or a one-sided love. So somebody loves you, but you don't love them, and you're not interested. So, and you know what? If that's something that's going on for you, that's fine, because no one has the right to demand love from somebody else either. So you have the right not to be in love with somebody, even if they love you madly. And you also have the right not to feel the same way about somebody that you once did. So this sometimes is a conflict, because people tend to feel like, oh my God, this person loves me so much, what's wrong with me? They feel guilty. Maybe the other person tries to manipulate them into feeling guilty about the situation. But, you have the right to feel how you feel. But in some cases, this can be you turning off to somebody because of their behavior to you, because I get in the past tense this Seven of Wands. And I get this, it seems like I get this quite frequently in love readings. This is a card of being on the defense and a defensive. And this can be due to a toxic relationship. I'm probably repeating myself, but if you're in a relationship with somebody and you always feel like you have to explain your motivations for things, and they never seem to understand why you do things the way you do, and they act like, I don't know, like you're crazy or that you are somehow in the wrong all the time. There's this feeling like you're not good enough. And that kind of feeling can be destabilizing, because you're not on equal ground with this person. So that is not done by accident. That is probably a device that the person is using, whether they even know it on a conscious level or not, to keep you on your toes, to keep you always questioning your self-worth. So, and it doesn't have to be just with romantic relationships. You should really look at that in all of your relationships. You could have a platonic friend, and they always seem like they don't accept you. They're like, why are you doing that? And that kind of thing makes you feel like you have to defend yourself. That's not a way to live. Now, if we want to look at astrological signs, this person could also be Aries. Hello, usual suspect. For Capricorn, because you're both cardinal signs. You irritate, but you attract, even with that. What are the other fire signs? Leo and Sagittarius. Okay, and so what we have here is very interesting. The plot thickens because we have the Six of Cups. I really feel, also because of this card, that there may be someone, and we do have a Mercury retrograde, first 5 days of September still in full force. There may be somebody from your past that comes back in, or that, that you're in contact with. I don't mean that you're actually physically in contact, but you might hear from them, or it might even just be you thinking about that situation. But I think it's more active than just thinking about it. You may actually hear from this person, and it could be a past love. It could be from way long ago, maybe from high school, childhood, friend of a friend. But the thing is, this is a soulmate card. So I have, just in personal readings, as well as read stories about people who they reconnected after many years. And they both married other people and, blah, blah, blah. And it's very romantic to think that two people can get separated and then come back many years later. But it does happen. It's not just in the movies, it happens. Now, the thing that you have to realize here, and this is what is kind of weird about the situation, is that if it's a soulmates situation, it's going to just fit together. It's not going to, this is all my opinion, of course, but the thing that I'm trying to impress upon you is that sometimes people are in love with the fantasy of a past relationship because it's something that hasn't been there for a while. So, time, they say time heals all wounds, but it also makes us forget some of the bad things that have happened. And we tend to focus on the good things, which is good. We should focus on good things. But you may be kind of bored in a current relationship, and instead of dealing with that productively, you may be fantasizing about somebody else. And that's leading you to think that this is, that the other person is going to be a better bet, okay? You have to be very careful about that. And this is something, when I do private readings, a lot of times I'll see an afflicted Neptune that is causing this kind of way of thinking, because Neptune in the challenging positions can lead people to have distorted ideas, or but it's not just ideas, it's actually receiving information in a distorted way because of their own wishful thinking. I believe in wishful thinking. I believe we need to wish for what we want, because that is the law of attraction. But I also think we need to be 1 foot on the ground. And you are Capricorn, so you're an earth sign. You would feel me on that, but you might have a blind spot when it comes to relationships. I often find that some of the most, practical together people, when it comes to relationships, that's where they go nuts. Because, I don't know, maybe it's because, in life there's always a sense of balance, where there's certain areas where you're really good at and certain areas where so if you're really competent in your work life, maybe there has to be one area that is a little bit in need of some discipline or logic. Okay, so the higher message is the Seven of Pentacles, and this can indicate that if there is something there with another person, maybe from your past, that you need to sit and you need to wait, and you need to see if it materializes. This is the Farmer's card. Okay. And by the way, if you're in a marriage, if you're not just dating somebody else, that is something you're going to have to deal with, your primary relationship. I don't think it's ever a good idea to go behind somebody else's back, even if you feel like the person is putting you on the defensive and all that stuff. I think that it's always, the best thing to live in integrity. And if you're unhappy in a relationship, then leave that relationship. and just move on with your life and not say, okay, well, I'll stay in this relationship while I try to find somebody else at the same time. I just don't think that that creates good energy. You know, it's like hedging your bets. It's like, okay, I don't want to really risk going out on my own, but you know, that is, you know, that statement of autonomy, I think, is a really important one. And it has nothing to do with whether or not you have somebody else waiting in the wings. Also, I want to say too, there may be an earth sign person, a fellow Capricorn, a Virgo, or a Taurus person who may be of assistance to you. Maybe not romantically, but in a friendship way, that they are a source of comfort and counsel for you. But it could be somebody who the universe is telling you, you're looking at these other people, but this is the person for you. Okay, this is the card that crosses you, the King of Pentacles. This could be the person that you are dissatisfied with. This person will be a person who is very materialistic. They have, you know, everything has a price. They're very tacky about it. They don't value people for themselves. They value people for how much money they have, and you know what I mean, that whole deal. And they may, if this is your partner, they may have even gotten with you because you had a nice job, or you had this, or you had that. This kind of person is in need of the spiritual dimension in life because they are way too concerned with the physical dimension. They may be oversexed, overindulgent, just trying to buy their own self-worth and seeing you that way. Could be the father of your child. Kings can be fathers. It can be your biological, you know, or your biological father, your stepfather, whoever raised you, who did, you know, something, was a bad influence on you for some reason, rejected you, whatever. Didn't give you what you needed. And this is, and if that's the case, or you don't know your father, and you feel like you're trying to fill a vacuum by going from one person to the next, looking for that attention. And the thing about it is, there's nothing abnormal about that. That is something that a normal person would want. But it's destructive because it's, first of all, it's never going to happen. You cannot fulfill something from one area in another area. You have to, you know, it's like, and what happens is, I see this with women who had this with their fathers, where they have this anger towards their fathers, then they become very demanding over the men in their life, and they always project that anger onto them, which is unfair. You can't, you know, you can't transfer one situation to the next. It doesn't work. And even if that person gives you love, it's going to fall, it's not going to be enough. It's going to fall flat for you. And maybe that's why I was saying that Four of Cups, it's like that. The advice or what's coming in is the Two of Cups. So this could be you reuniting with this person from the past. In some cases, this is about you needing to forgive somebody. Doesn't have to be a romantic partner. It could be a father. It could be just about anybody, but it's something that is impeding your progress. It could be the current person that you're with. And this is very important because if you're trying to end a relationship with somebody who is, you feel very, if not downright abusive, they're just, yeah, it's a form of abuse to continually act like somebody isn't good enough. If you're with somebody like that and you're trying to end that relationship, and maybe you're just getting all your ducks in a row, you also have to remember to check in with yourself emotionally. some people leave on really bad terms with somebody because they feel this sense of like bitterness. The person did not give me what I want. And instead, if you can say, you know what, this person isn't here to give me what I want. This person is I'm just passing through, and this person just happened to join me at one leg of my journey. And I don't expect anything from other people. I'm just happy with whatever I get. That could be something that frees you from that connection with that person. Okay, now here's where we get to our outcomes. The outcome is the Ten of Swords. Now, I could have left it at this card because the Ten of Swords actually is a card that says the worst is over. So any kind of sense of betrayal, and maybe that's what this card is. Maybe somebody cheated on you and maybe they apologize, but you're like, I can't forget what happened. It's like it totally changed how I feel about you. The Ten of Swords would be saying the worst is over. You can move on with your life now. It's like hitting bottom, but once you hit bottom, you only have up to go. So it's actually a very positive card if you look at it that way. But for some people, what could happen is that this person who appears to be so great turns out not to be. I think I forgot to finish what I was saying about people from the past and idealizing them. What you have to realize, because I had this experience with somebody, and it wasn't a romantic situation, but I just reunited with a girl that I knew when I was a child, and I hadn't seen her in 35 years or something crazy like that. And when I met up with her, we were totally different people than when we were 10 years old. Go figure, huh? But it's obvious to me now that would be the case, but you kind of crystallize these memories of people and you think they're going to stay frozen there, how they were. But remember too that we're a lot less complicated when we're 10 years old or 15 years old. Now a lot of time has passed, we've had different experiences, and we've grown into the people that we are. So unless you're 20 years old and it was only 5 years ago that you were with this person, but if you're 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, you're going to be different. And it may be disillusioning when you meet up with somebody and find out that the dream of that moment is gone. But that's okay. You can still have that moment, but it's not going to be the same relationship. You can't enter the same stream twice because the stream changes. It's constantly moving. It's constantly changing. So if you can be realistic about it, you might be perfectly fine with what happens. But if this is a disillusioning experience, then you might be like, wow, that was a bummer. The thing I would say, though, is that has nothing to do with whether you should leave another relationship. I mean, you should be able to do that regardless. And so I picked an additional card, the Five of Swords, and this could be about deception. This could be about verbal deception. These two cards really go together in a way because one is betrayal and the other one is slander. Another thing that's possible, now I didn't say this before, what could happen is you could leave somebody, this person who's maybe is abusive, and then they talk badly about you. So you have to be prepared that somebody might try to drag your name through the mud. And I was just reading up on narcissists, and they tend to do that. And they were talking about what kind of technique do you use to deal with that if you're escaping a narcissist. How do you handle that? And they said, and the thing that I was watching, they were saying that you just simply tell the truth. You don't get bogged down in saying, oh, this person is such a blankety blank liar. Oh God, they are such, oh, I'm so glad I'm away from that scumbag. You say, that is not true. This is what happened, and you just say it, and then you just move on. You don't get into, drag down into that drama with that person. But I'm talking about if you have mutual friends and they like say, oh, this person said this about you, and you say, no, that's not true. That didn't happen. So I picked an additional card, the Knight of Pentacles. I always associate this with you because this is a card of somebody who is really driven to amass wealth. And it's like a card of consistency. It's actually associated with Taurus. Being Pentacles, it's going to be an earth energy, so it's going to deal with that. So, again, I mentioned there might be an earth sign like Taurus. Maybe they are the one for you. Maybe you have been kind of not seeing them as a potential partner because sometimes people don't have a healthy view of what, that makes them attracted to certain people. They would rather be attracted to the person who puts them on the defensive because of low self-esteem. Groucho Marx, I wouldn't want to belong to the club that would have me as a member. So that could be talking about what the other person is who that person is going to be. Also with timing, look to the earth, the new moon in September is September 20th. Mercury will come out of its shadow, and we will, in the northern hemisphere, be having a fall equinox in a few days after that. So things are changing, the seasons are changing, and it's a new moon on the 20th in Virgo, late degree of Virgo, which is a sister sign of you. And that can be very harmonious for you in general during the time of Virgo. So perhaps that will be a new person that comes into your life, or maybe this is that former love of yours. So, to be continued. Capricorn? I hope you enjoyed this and have an awesome September. Bye.